Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta bear.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you, don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
USA. USA. USA.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Thursday. We got a good show for you today. We've got some fun. We're gonna go over some of the bias hearings, the Twitter bias hearings, which actually proved there is some bias, just not against Republicans. Oh, fun! Did I give it away? Well, we'll get into it anyway. It's gonna be fun. There are video clips. We also have Dark Brandon on Social Security. Smart political move. Absolutely. Let's talk about it. We have Matt Walsh. What can I say about Matt Walsh? We also are going to talk about how Missouri wants to arm children. That's right. Have children walk around with weapons. But, no critical race theory, and no, of course, gender-affirming care. But guns, yes, arm the children. Then we're going to talk about some issues going on over at Project Veritas. Yes. They seem to be having some issues. Fun. To which I say,
My.
we got issues. We got issues at Project Veritas. All right, we'll have fun. And then if we have time, we'll get to some maybe some positive, possibly. Let's just say Bernie Sanders fighting in favor of paid sick leave. We'll talk about that. All right. With that said, we're going to dive into the stories. Please like and share the stream. Before you do so, again, helps us out greatly. If you do so, if you don't, I'm just going to have to send
Woke mob.
after you. The woke mob, they're coming. And they have
Jewish space lasers.
They're coming after you. So please like and share to avoid that. Okay. Anyway, I know I'm having too much fun with my soundboard, so let's get to some fun stories. Too many buttons. Not enough buttons. We need more buttons. Okay. House Republicans have wasted no time in finding ways to waste our time. Case in point, the House Oversight Committee recently had a hearing about Twitter bias. That's right. The biggest, thing that's happening in the country today the biggest problem Republicans want to solve is Twitter. We got Twitter bias against conservatives. Oh, no. So, look, instead of doing anything for the average American, they ended up dragging former Twitter executives into Congress because their fifis are hurt. Not very happy, are they? Of course not. To which I say, stupid. All right. They claim, though, that, we would have won the 2020 election had Twitter not suppressed the all-important Hunter Biden laptop story. Yeah. So they claim that Twitter executives colluded with federal government, by the way, the federal government under Donald Trump, in order to, cover up the laptop story, which we all know about, and had overall targeted conservatives with big government censorship. It's collusion, the real collusion. Now, ex-Twitter executives Yoel Roth, James Baker, Vijaya Gadde, and Annika Collier-Navaroli testified during the hearing. And look, they talked about the Hunter Biden story. They addressed it. And they said, look, it was a mistake to block the article over misinformation. It was something that Twitter had decided to do on their own. They said, look, the government didn't tell us to do it. The government wasn't involved. We got sent an email, some of us did, saying that watch out for misinformation. And they looked at the Hunter Biden story and said, well, that can't be true. But it turns out a lot of stuff in the Hunter Biden story was true. Hunter Biden's very, he's got a lot of problems. But one of the things, by the way, that they did remove from Twitter are Hunter Biden's dick pics. Now, I actually agree with that. There's no reason that unconsensual nudes of Hunter Biden's penis should be out there in the open. Now, if you're a Republican and you're like, oh, why did they delete those? What, you really want to look at Hunter Biden's cock? I don't know why that's in the national interest. It's not. It's not. But nonetheless, I mean, maybe that says something about you. It's fine. It's 2023. Just come out. You will be welcomed with open arms. But not by the Republican Party that still hates the log cabin Republicans. No, this is like, the whole thing is, those pictures were essentially considered revenge porn. They should not have been released, and it was right that they were removed. But everything else, for the actual story itself, totally fine. Should have been released. I don't really care. All right? And so, that said, let the story run. No one cares. Aside from that, though, the rest of the hearing on supposed conservative censorship against us. Oh my God, we're being censored as conservatives. Clown show. And actually, it proved that the opposite had happened, that they actually went out of their way to help conservatives, including Donald Trump. So now, the Trump administration had actually called for the removal of tweets that he didn't like, tweets that, again, were just people making fun of him. Here's an example of that. Here's some of the hearing itself on that.
On September 8th, 2019, at 11:11 p.m., Donald Trump heckled two celebrities on Twitter, John Legend and his wife, Chrissy Teigen, and referred to them as the musician John Legend and his filthy-mouthed wife, unquote. Ms. Teigen responded to that email at 12:17 a.m., and according to notes from a conversation with you, Ms. Navaroli's counsel, your counsel, the White House almost immediately thereafter contacted Twitter to demand the tweet be taken down. Is that accurate?
Thank you for the question. In my role, I was not responsible for receiving any sort of request from the government. However, what I was privy to was my supervisors letting us know that we had received something along those lines or something of a request. In that particular instance, I do remember hearing that we had received a request from the White House to make sure that we evaluated this tweet and that they wanted it to come down because it was a derogatory statement directed towards the president.
They wanted it to come down. They made that request.
To my recollection, yes.
I thought that was an inappropriate action by a government official, let alone the White House. But it wasn't Joe Biden about his son's laptop. It was Donald Trump because he didn't like what Chrissy Teigen had to say about him. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
My.
My. Oh, I love that. So, look, whatever you think about, Chrissy Teigen, whatever. Having the White House reach out to Twitter to say you must remove that tweet from Chrissy Teigen that was not good. You need to have the government come and censor you. No, that's ridiculous. That you shouldn't be doing that. And by the way, I don't want the left doing that. I don't want the Biden administration, trying to go and have private companies delete critical messages, tweets, or posts or whatever of a president. I wouldn't want Biden doing that, and he hasn't done that. And I wouldn't want the Republicans doing that. But you can see that they actually did. Now, of the substance of the tweet, what was it? That was asked by Maxwell Alejandro Frost, who talked about this. Take a look.
Ms. Naravoli, earlier you testified about a 2019 tweet that was about President Trump, and I think it was from Ms. Teigen. What was the tweet about?
Would you like me to give the direct quote?
Yeah.
Please excuse my language. This is a direct quote, but Chrissy Teigen referred to Donald Trump as a pussy-ass bitch.
Okay. Free speech. And what happened after Ms. Teigen posted her tweet? What did the White House do? What did the Trump White House do?
From my understanding, the White House reached out to ask that this tweet be removed. It was my team's job. This fell underneath the policy for abusive behaviors, and we evaluated underneath our insults policy. At that time, up to 3 insults were allowed, and so it was our job to determine how many insults were included within that phrase.
So the Trump White House reached out, not an agency, but the White House reached out and requested that you remove the tweet?
From my understanding, yes.
I just got to say, Maxwell Alejandro Frost will now forever be known as the man who had pussy-ass bitch entered into the congressional record. Well done. Well done. By the way, I love that guy. Just because of this, but this helps a lot. Awesome.
Oh yeah.
But, okay. Now, that said, it wasn't Democrats or the Biden administration. Again, Biden wasn't in office, but now you don't have that either. That called on Twitter to censor people for negative opinions. No, it was Donald Trump. In fact, according to Rolling Stone, a former senior Trump official told the outlet, the magazine, that, quote, it was very strange to me when all these investigations were announced because it was all about the exact same stuff that we had done. It was normal. So the Trump administration, again, going out of their way to try to censor people who have critical opinions of Republicans, specifically of Donald Trump and his administration. Weird. It turns out everything that they've been doing is pure projection. And it gets worse, by the way. Speaking about projection, now, the next video we're going to have is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is going to go on to prove that, is there bias against conservatives? No, turns out there's bias against progressives.
At the time, Twitter's policy included a specific example when it came to banned abuse against immigrants, as they specifically included the phrase, go back to your country or go back to where you came from, correct?
Yes, that was specifically included in the content moderation guidance as an example.
You brought this up to the Vice President of Trust and Safety, Del Harvey, correct?
I did, yes.
And she overrode your assessment, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And something interesting happened after she overrode your assessment. A day or two later, Twitter seemed to have changed their policies, didn't they?
Yes, that trope, go back to where you came from, was removed from the content moderation guidance as an example.
So Twitter changed their own policy after the president violated it in order to potentially accommodate his tweet?
Yes.
Thank you. So much for bias against right wing on Twitter.
How weird. It's almost as if conservatives are completely full of crap. Imagine that. And by the way, I mean, all the Republicans in Congress that are complaining about Twitter, they're targeting us. And by the way, the irony here is now you have Elon Musk that has taken over Twitter, and you still have conservatives crying. You got this, and it's so stupid to even have to talk about this person. Twitter account named Cat Turd. I don't know how many followers, a million, probably. Tons of followers on the right wing complaining about being shadow banned. Oh, why is Twitter shadow banning me still? Oh, we're still shadow banned. You had a right wingers locking their accounts to do some weird trick because, oh, my engagement, it has fallen off. Elon Musk, fix it. Fix it now. Twitter's not real life, guys. This is the most ridiculous thing. The government is actually literally spending time talking about this. That's the conversation that we're having. When you have actually, real problems all across the country. That's what Congress Republicans are focusing on. Twitter buyers. No, they have a victimhood complex. And everything that they're saying is projection. And we know this. They use that victimhood, by the way, as a club, as a cudgel, to beat down everyone else. Okay. Moving on. Talk about Social Security. I like Social Security. I like tacos. It appears Dark Brendan has returned to go after Republicans who have been looking to cut Social Security.
They don't. I don't know who they think they are. We saw on Tuesday night Republicans don't like me being called out on this. They were not very happy with me pointing this out. But their words speak. Look, I know that a lot of Republicans, their dream is to cut Social Security and Medicare. Well, let me say this. If that's your dream, I'm your nightmare.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot, actually. You know why? Strong.
Oh yeah.
I like the strong, I like the strength there. I'm your nightmare. Wonderful. That said, is this part of his re-election campaign? Of course. In fact, you could say the State of the Union speech was also part of his re-election campaign. Of course, of course. That said, I like strong. I appreciate strong. Keep doing this. Keep doing it. Now, this comes after he called out Republicans on their very, very real efforts to cut Social Security and Medicare. Now, that apparently triggered them. They were very, very salty about this. Very many right-wing tears. They didn't want people to know what they're actually trying to do, which is, again, to cut Social Security and Medicare. I have clips here that I'm going to show you of Republicans in their own words going after Social Security and saying either cut it, change it, privatize it, get rid of it altogether. Here's that.
So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
What's mandatory are things like Social Security and Medicare. If you qualify for the entitlement, you just get it no matter what the cost. And our problem in this country is that more than 70% of our federal budget, of our federal spending, is all mandatory spending. It's on automatic pilot. It never, you just don't do proper oversight. You don't get in there and fix the programs going bankrupt. It's just on automatic pilot. What we ought to be doing is we ought to turn everything into discretionary spending, so it's all evaluated so that we can fix problems or fix programs that are broken, that are going to be going bankrupt.
If we really want to talk about the debt and spending, it's the entitlements program that's 70%.
Definition of a Ponzi scheme. Right. In the English language, that is exactly how Social Security operates.
So I'm going to take that as a yes, that you believe that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme.
Medicare and Social Security and other entitlement programs are worth saving are going to consume the debt. We're down to a small fraction of the federal pie to run the discretionary part of government. So entitlement reform is a must for us to not become Greece.
It will be my objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort and need to be pulled up.
People come up to me, they actually don't work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's on the table, you're saying?
Well, you know, if people want to work on it, maybe you need to give them an incentive to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, and there's more and more and more, but that's just the taste. Okay? Republicans, yes, they want to cut Social Security. Yes, they want to cut Medicare. And look, I like the Bidens calling them out. And by the way, yeah, I just do have to mention, though, that, you know, during the Obama administration, Biden had negotiated with Republicans to do a cut in Social Security. So let's be fair. I'm being totally transparent about that. That did not go through. Republicans, you know, ended up not taking the deal because they didn't want to raise taxes. Now, Biden is going the right direction and saying no cuts to Social Security. And that's great. And of course, we're going to have to continue to watch to make sure that his actions match his rhetoric. And so far, it seems to be. So far, he is actually being aggressive about not cutting Social Security. Now, that said, what he should do is propose expanding Social Security. Look, 82% of voters, this would be a slam dunk, by the way. 82% of voters say, let's expand Social Security. Yes, let's do that. Across the board. In fact, 83% of Democrats, 73% of independents, and 73% of Republicans, they say, these are voters, they say strengthen Social Security, and they want to do so, and this is very important, by taxing the wealthy in order to have them contribute their fair share. These are Republican voters. Now, you just saw what Republican politicians are calling for. To eliminate Social Security, to cut it, to privatize it, to raise the retirement age, just to, you know, get rid of it or weaken it, chip away at it. That's not what the voters want. So understand that there's a theater going on here. Because it's so popular, Republicans come out and say, how dare you, Joe Brandon, you're lying. Oh, you're such a liar. How dare you? Boo, boo. When in reality, when they're talking to their donors, they're like, oh, yeah, of course I want to cut Social Security. Of course.
My.
That's the truth. So, again, it is all projection here. All right? That said, Republicans know that the vast majority of people do not want to privatize Social Security. Again, it's very clear, both sides of the aisle. And when you call them out, when you expose what they really think about these programs, yes, they're going to get very salty. That said, what's going on here, and I think what was important, and the reason that the president had slipped this into there, okay, into the discussion, into the State of the Union. Again, one, it's a very good political tactic, okay, bringing this up. Secondly, we're talking about the debt ceiling right now. Now, so there's a debt ceiling fight. I think it's all ridiculous, and I'll tell you why. But Republicans are trying to get these Social Security cuts, you know, budget caps, pushed into a deal in order to raise the debt ceiling. Now, I tell you this whole thing is a sham because it is. The debt ceiling shouldn't exist. It's a ridiculous concept. This is all theater. It's all money that we've already spent. Why does Biden have to negotiate anything? Now, he is, and he shouldn't, because, look, at the end of the day, if you don't raise the debt ceiling, the world economy is going to crash. All right. Now, Republicans, they're not going to let that happen, because of their beloved donors, their beloved corporations, and also looking at a more personal issue, right? It will tank the stock market. Stocks that a lot of these, or I should say, pretty much all of Congress people are invested in. They're allowed to trade individual stocks. Are they going to do anything that imperils their own personal money? No, of course not. Their investments? No, of course not. So it's never going to happen. The whole thing, if Joe Biden were to just say, I'm not going to negotiate, suck it. How about that, Republicans? That's real Dark Brandon right there. I would absolutely love that. And Republicans couldn't do a goddamn thing. Why? Because they will never, ever allow the United States to default on the debt. Even insane Marjorie Greene, she has, again, she owns shares in individual stocks. You think she's going to allow the debt ceiling, us to hit the debt ceiling and default on our debt? No, of course not. Of course not. Call them out on their bluff. Call them out. Don't even bother negotiating. Just tell them to F off and continue. The whole thing is ridiculous theater. Ridiculous theater. Optics. Now, that said, the reason that Biden is, basically going after Republicans on Social Security is it's good optics. It's terrible for Republicans. They're in a no-win situation at this point. Now, that isn't, of course, unless Biden caves and agrees to certain cuts. Now, I think honestly, I'm a bit pessimistic in the fact that I think Joe Biden will negotiate and there will be some cuts. And it's because I think Joe Biden's conservative and he actually does want to cut certain things. Do I think he's going to make substantial cuts or any cuts to Medicare and Social Security? No, of course not. That's a political death knell. It'd be the dumbest thing imaginable that anyone could do. That said, I hope I am wrong and that he tells Republicans, no, you're going to pass a clean debt limit and you're going to do it now and ain't nobody going to touch Medicare or Social Security. Okay. The debt limit should be eliminated. It's laughably stupid. It's true. Very true. Okay. Yeah, if he does, he won't get reelected. Yeah, that's true. Just imagine, being a leader that oversees cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Never. Wouldn't happen. Okay. Let's see. Let's move on to Matt Walsh. All right. Notorious transphobe Matt Walsh was recently at a hearing in Tennessee to argue in favor of banning gender-affirming care. And it didn't go well for him, at least when it comes to his arguments, because over and over, he got pretty much exposed for the moron he is. And so I'm going to give big credit to the Tennessee Holler here for putting together this video, and I'll put the link in the description. But here's some of the ownage.
Can you give us a summary of your educational background or your healthcare education?
I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I've done.
And for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated.
You don't use it to get clicks?
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
You know, if you're going to come before a committee and make mischaracterizations and misrepresentations, it's fair game for us to ask you your educational background.
You seem to have started this, so you have no medical background, correct?
No.
And you also stated there'd been no studies. Well, I'm sitting here holding a study from the American Academy of Pediatrics, suicidal disparities between transgender and cisgender adults and children. Before you state things, you may need to know all the facts.
Interesting. Now, look, Walsh had responded to this. He said, whoops, you guys accidentally edited all the clips and spliced them together to remove most of my responses. I'm sure it was simple oversight. Here are the full interactions. You're welcome. And he posted a video. Now, look, if you watch those interactions, and of course you're free to, Walsh says pretty much nothing of substance. Oh, I mean, you heard part of it. Oh, I went to school long enough to read. Reading does not equal understanding. His other answers included things like being a human being with a brain and a soul. I'm just looking to make sure the children aren't mutilated. Okay, look, the whole thing, his whole crusade can be summed up with saying that he is just looking out for children's genitals. Now, why is he so transfixed on that? I have no idea. I'm kind of worried about him. How about you stop obsessing over anyone's genitals? You freak. You're a disgusting human being. What are you doing? Look, Matt Walsh, by the way, enjoys talking about teen girls. Especially. Remember, there was video about him talking when he was a radio guy. That, he was talking about how fertile 16-year-old girls are. Gross. You're messed up. You want to talk about grooming? This guy longs to go back to the time where teen girls, young girls, 16-year-olds, married old men. That's the kind of world that Matt Walsh wants to live in. Okay? And by the way, it's not just him. There's an incel movement. All right? We're all aware of this. You got right-wing, far-right MAGA chuds, super misogynistic people who are openly talking about how, you see, what feminism, it ruins all the women. See, but you got to get them before the feminism kicks in, you see? That's why you have to get them young. So you can mold them into the ideal wife. Don't believe me? I've got their own words. I'm going to show you some examples of some of the things that they're saying. These are things the right wing are saying about women. I think 18-year-old girls should date 50-plus-year-old men. Wow. Wow. Proposing that girls date 50-plus men straight out of high school and throughout university. Again, this is stuff that Matt Walsh talks about. Reasons this would be beneficial to girls. And then there's more to this, by the way. It's the older men can refer her for a job. Oh, isn't that nice? Job training. Reasons why it would be beneficial to the man. Can cycle through girls as they get older. And the girl's sex appeal decreases. Again, we're talking about teens, okay? We're talking about teens. This person is gross. All right? I'm not done. There's more. So part of this image, you can't see it, but it is domestic abuse. And you can see it says, domestic discipline turns a woman into a perfect housewife, punishing her when she deserves helps to maintain order in the family. Disgusting. There's more. Marrying a woman today in her late 20s to mid-30s is like purchasing an expired carton of old chunky milk. Comparing women to milk. And rotten, old and rotten, diluted with feminism and secular education. By marrying a young girl, you guarantee virginity, youthfulness, and femininity. You'll guarantee that you'll be able to put your imprint on her completely. You can even teach her subjects of vocabulary, mask yourself. Again, we are talking about grooming. This is grooming. Total grooming. That's what these people are about. All right? And another. Goes down in value as the number of owners and miles, and the clock goes up. We're talking about owners here. So, look, where I got these images from is a great Twitter account, Ask Aubrey, and she goes through and she finds these people and posts the things that they're actually talking about. It's who they are. These are disgusting people with absolutely disgusting views. Now, getting back to Walsh. Walsh, one of his main missions is to erase transgender people from humanity, from existence. The reality of this bill in Tennessee, and I would say all the other anti-transgender bills across the country, again, transgender people, they make up, 0.0001% of the population of the entire country? And yet, what are all these Republicans in state legislators doing? They're laser focused on transgender. Oh, we got to ban the transgender. Oh, transgender. Oh, we got to protect the women, the girls, the bathrooms. No, it's a problem that doesn't exist. Now, the result of this, of course, is engendering anti-trans bigotry, violence against the community. Dr. Allison Stiles, a physician from Memphis, who testified during the hearing, laid it out pretty succinctly, saying that this bill, I feel, was born out of fear-mongering, out of false rhetoric that we are doing sex change operations on children. Now, one of the things that Matt Walsh talks about, that of course he gets wrong, is, they're mutilating the children, doing sex change operations on the children. Now, he had also claimed on Joe Rogan's podcast that millions of kids are taking puberty blockers. No, it's less than 4,000 across the entire country. Just constantly getting it wrong. Vanderbilt University Medical Center, who had to shut down their gender-affirming care, said that they only provided about 5 gender-affirming surgeries to minors every year since 2018. All of them were over 16 years old and had parental consent, and none of them, it's very important, none of them actually received any procedures involving genitals or genitalia. So there's that. That's very, very important. Okay, so they're not mutilating and castrating children. And that's what people like, again, Matt Walsh, like to claim is happening, but it's not happening. And by the way, gender-affirming care, it's not like as if you can just go in and willy-nilly get it. No, you have to go through a process of informed consent, vetting, counseling, primary care, and obviously parental permission. All of these steps are taken before people even get puberty blockers or hormone therapy or the non-genitalia-related surgery. Now, she continues by pointing out, Tennessee is outlawing all transgender care. The hate has grown, and we now have a bill that could get parents arrested for taking their gender dysphoric children to the physician and their physicians for taking care of them. Now, she is a physician. She actually has an education in this. She actually knows the science. And there is a reason that every science and pediatric organization is against people like Matt Walsh. Because Matt Walsh and anti-trans people, politicians, are not even following the science at all. Now, the common refrain, of course, that you hear from people who are against gender-affirming care is that, well, look, I understand, but you're going to let a child make this decision? Well, again, according to studies, according to science, usually by the time someone is 4 years old, they know their gender identity. Okay. Now, on that, let me ask people, if you're, like, oh, no, I don't believe that. When did you decide to be whatever gender you are? When did you, I don't remember deciding to be a cisgender male. No, I've always known. There wasn't a decision. I've just known. It's the same with trans people. They just know that that they are transgender. They know. They don't decide. It's who you are. It's who you've always been. And maybe at that time you don't have the words, don't have the vocabulary to put the words together, but you know. But see, here's the thing though. All these bills, are generally about punishing people for being different. Again, trying to erase transgender people. Now, this does nothing to protect children. In fact, it endangers children. Trans children are more likely to commit suicide as a result of, being prevented from living their truth, being who they are. Now, Matt Walsh does not care about those children. He doesn't. He only cares about running your life, having complete and utter control over you. And by the way, your decisions as a parent regarding the health and well-being of your child, if they happen to be transgender. He wants people to live the way that he wants them to. And he wants to make all those decisions for you. That is not personal freedom. But he's not about personal freedom. He calls himself a theocratic fascist. And while that may be tongue-in-cheek, for him at least, it's been proven to be quite, an accurate description of him. Okay. No, I want to address something earlier. I saw a comment where somebody was mad at me for saying Joe Biden's a conservative. He's a conservative Democrat. We know this. He's not FDR 2.0. He's a conservative Democrat. Facts. Like, why would you... Like, his whole thing is, we're going to bring the two parties together. We're going to do bipartisanship. I'm going to reach out to other Democrats. Or, I'm sorry, other... I'm going to reach out across the aisle to Republicans. One of his main selling points is that he's not to the left, or he's not a big leftist. And a lot of the same people were making a charge against Bernie Sanders that he's too far to the left. And that's why he's unelectable. It's ridiculous. No, he's a conservative Democrat. It's just what it is. It's just who he is. It doesn't mean that he can't do positive things. I've given him credit before. Leaving Afghanistan is one of the big things. Some of his picks for FCC chair have been, for example, it's been excellent. And Gigi Sohn needs to be confirmed like yesterday. Also the NLRB. Great picks on that. but yes, even though, again, he made those great picks, he's still a conservative Democrat. That's it. Okay, so let's go to Missouri, arming children. Yeah. Wonderful. Republicans in Missouri want to make sure that children are able to walk around with guns. I'm not kidding. Missouri's Republican-led House on Wednesday voted against a bill that would ban minors from openly carrying weapons without adult supervision on public land. So basically they're saying, oh, you don't need an adult, just go around and carry your weapons. It's fine. You can't buy them, but if you happen to have a weapon and you want to carry it around, outside, on public land, walking around, totally fine. Totally fine. Now, this bill failed 104 to 39. Guess how many Republicans voted in favor of it? One, actually. The rest of the Republicans were like, no, arm the children. Give them all guns. Let them all carry around the guns. Wow. So, look, Missouri lawmakers have already repealed most concealed carry requirements back in 2017. And so, yeah, this allows people in Missouri to basically arm the toddlers. That's what's going on. Arming the toddlers. Wow. Now, Republican Representative Lane Roberts, former Joplin, Missouri police chief and state public safety director, had initially included these restrictions. This is the one Republican that voted in favor of the ban on children possessing guns in a broader crime bill. which the House voted to give initial approval to later on Wednesday, but lawmakers on a House committee that Roberts leads stripped the provision of on guns last week. Roberts said this, quote, "Every time we talked about the provision related to guns, we knew that that was going to be difficult on our side of the aisle." Yeah, because your side of the aisle is insane. Giving all letting the kids have all the weapons, that's kind of a stupid and insane position. We're not talking about supervised, like taking your kid hunting. That's a completely different, separate thing. No, this is saying, hey, if you're seeing a child walk around the streets with a handgun or a AR-15, that's totally fine. Oh no, police, you can't do anything. Just walk around. It's fine. It's fine. And so look, this failed mainly because of course, lobbying from gun manufacturers, NRA, Gun Owners of America, et cetera, et cetera. They're so afraid of the gun lobby. And it failed. Guns everywhere, especially for the children. Won't you think of the children? Giving them guns. Healthcare, we can't have. Gender affirming care for transgender children. Can't have that. But guns. Yes, all the guns for the children. For everyone. Now, Democratic Representative Donna Behringer said the police in her district had asked for the change to stop what they considered to be, or what they said, 14-year-olds walking down the middle of the street in the city of St. Louis carrying AR-15s. She said now that they have been emboldened and they're walking around with them, until they actually brandish them and brandish them with intent, our police officers' hands are handcuffed. I mean, this is one of those instances where it's like, no, police should be able to actually be like, hey, what's going on? Why are you carrying that weapon around there? Like, what's going on here? Maybe you shouldn't. Where's your parents? Maybe you shouldn't be carrying that gun around unsupervised. That's what's going on, though. But Republicans said, no, we like this. We think that, all the children should have the guns. Representative Tony Lavasco, Republican from St. Louis, from a St. Louis suburb, said this. While it may be intuitive that a 14-year-old has no legitimate purpose, to be carrying a weapon, it doesn't actually mean they're going to harm someone. No, we don't know that yet. Generally speaking, we don't charge people with crimes because we think they're going to hurt someone. Okay, but I'm not saying like charge them with crimes. We're saying, hey, maybe you should not, encourage or have laws that allow unsupervised children to walk around with firearms. Look, the fact that these people want children to be walking around with dangerous weapons out in the open is ridiculous. By the way, guns don't have to be brandished to be a danger. There are accidental discharges. I mean, kids getting a hold of guns. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the rash of stories. There's always stories of, child gets a hold of a gun and accidentally shoots himself or shoots his family or shoots a member of his family. That's what happens. Okay, accidental discharges kill a lot of people, maim a lot of people. And look, I know kids. I was a kid once. Okay. Kids play with guns. Yes, guess what? They treat them as toys. And if you treat things as a toy, then, well, especially if it's not a toy, then things can go very, very, very wrong. Mess around, gun goes off, can't take that back. Again, if your parent wants to, if you want to take your kids hunting, that's a different thing. If it's supervised, okay, that's fine. At least there's adult supervision here. But again, Missouri, what are you doing? You're letting children run around with firearms without supervision, and that's just an absolute recipe for disaster. It's gone too far. Okay. Oh. Let's move on. So the black kids can have guns, Dystopian Dragon says? Oh, well, I mean, I'm sure they'll have a rule against that. By the way, I should have added this to the last story.
USA, USA, USA.
It's the most American story I've ever heard. Okay. Fun. There appears to be some trouble over at Project Veritas.
Oh no!
Now, the right-wing organization seems to be having some inner turmoil, which has resulted in the removal, at least temporary removal, of leader James O'Keefe. So what's happening? What's going on with this organization? Well, there's a lot. But mainly, there was an internal memo that showed that O'Keefe, not exactly the best boss. I know, color me shocked, right? Now, this internal message was sent to the organization's executive director. And this was from Project Veritas employees. And so Daniel Strack, is that executive director. And, well, he was not happy about this. In fact, Strack, according to New York Magazine's Intelligencer website, said O'Keefe is taking a few weeks of well-deserved paid time off. Like all newsrooms at this stage, the Project Veritas board of directors and management are constantly evaluating what the best path forward is for the organization. And that, apparently that path includes saying goodbye to James O'Keefe. Fun. Look, that's a rather benign statement that masks the huge dysfunction apparently going on inside of the organization. And of course, it really does put the fun in dysfunction, or not. A memo obtained by the Daily Beast alleged that workers were troubled and frustrated by O'Keefe's management style, and that he was, quote, outright cruel to staff members, including behavior that engaged in berating staff members and holding public crucifixions. Not literal, but, you know. Still, some of the allegations include, O'Keefe being incredibly paranoid, forcing workers to take lie detector tests to prove they weren't leaking information about the company, and of course, spitting on people. Great. Now, one staffer wrote in a memo signed by 16 other Project Veritas workers, quote, James has become a power-drunk tyrant. To which I say, I am not at all surprised.
Really?
Of course, of course. What did you expect? Honestly, this is the guy, again, who would dress up in ridiculous outfits and do these different, sting operations that involve catfishing. Who knew what that guy would be horrible? Shocked Pikachu face, okay? Now, the memo also lays out concerns that Project Veritas will go under because donors are not happy to fund the company, as well as, of course, staff members that are leaving. I would describe Project Veritas' current environment with this saying, the beatings will continue until morale improves, one disgruntled staffer wrote in the memo. God damn. God damn. One incident, an employee had complained that O'Keefe berated them in front of jurors because he was hungry. Ultimately, the employee alleged that O'Keefe had stolen a sandwich from a heavily pregnant woman. Hey, you got a sandwich over there? But I need to feed my child. I don't care. Give me your sandwich. Give it to me now. I'll just take it. Really? Stealing a sandwich from a pregnant woman? Weird. Now, someone says, that same staffer said, I was yelled at in front of jurors because he was hungry and then took the 8-month pregnant woman's sandwich. In another incident, a top O'Keefe lieutenant was required to take a polygraph as part of a leak investigation. Another anecdote, staffers were so severely verbally attacked by James that the staff morale had dropped to an old-time low. Oh, sad.
My.
Not looking good. The Daily Beast also reports that the internal dissension comes as Project Veritas faces a number of outside threats issues, including an FBI investigation, an ex-employee's lawsuit alleging that O'Keefe had oversaw a raucous, sexually charged workplace complete with at least one drug overdose. Project Veritas has denied breaking any laws in the FBI investigation and is fighting the lawsuit. Now, you guys remember I talked about that story of that lawsuit and that alleged environment. Not good. Now, the memo's authors also raised other concerns about financing. Oh, interesting. Apparently, O'Keefe is alleged to have mismanaged money again. Shocker. Shocker. O'Keefe has added a series of musical productions to the group's repertoire, including an elaborate Project Veritas experience that involves O'Keefe dancing while wearing a bulletproof vest. Ah, yes, it's Project Veritas the musical, coming to no theaters here near you. Oh, God.
Please clap.
And in December, Project Veritas acknowledged improperly giving O'Keefe $20,500 in excess benefits to pay for Project Veritas staff to accompany him to Virginia as he performed a lead role in a production of the musical Oklahoma.
Please clap.
Wow. All right. So there's a lot of things going on here. A lot of very ridiculous things going on here. But none of them are really all that surprising to me. Because look, James O'Keefe is a garbage human. But not on that, or I should say besides that. All of his sting operations get debunked immediately. Fact checkers are like, yeah, you heavily edited this video. All this stuff doesn't actually make sense. It doesn't pass any sort of fact checking muster. And it's just, again, garbage sting operation. His latest one, by the way, the alleged Pfizer employee wasn't actually a Pfizer employee. Didn't work for Pfizer. And by the way, was also catfished. And this is something that they engage in all the time. I mean, he would regularly make people think that they're on dates. This is the worst kind of thing. Worst kind of thing. Worst kind of person. So that's not to say that, of course, we shouldn't challenge pharmaceutical companies, of course. Big Pharma is an issue. Now, that said, they're not mutating viruses. That's the thing that you're mutating the viruses, we knew it. No, that's not actually what's going on. But there is an issue with pharmaceutical greed. And that's a real issue. That's not a pretend issue. Like the stuff that they're making up at Project Veritas on the right wing. No, the whole problem with pharmaceutical companies is that their business model is based on greed. Charging people obscene amounts for life-saving medication. That's it. Oh, also, they buy up politicians and prevent us from, passing a single-payer healthcare system, Medicare for all, which would save 45,000 people's lives every year. That's how many people die from not having healthcare in this country. So, what amazes me is that there's so much actual corruption. There's so many actual things that they could go after. Real sting operations that, of course, the left does not have the money and the ability to do. I mean, the best thing that I've seen, person that does this is Lauren Winster over at the Undercurrent. She does excellent undercover, sting operations and catches politicians, saying how corrupt they are. Imagine having the resources of a place like Project Veritas on the left to actually go and find the corruption, the real issues here. Unfortunately, we don't have that. And again, on the right wing, they're never going to do that because it turns out they actually love corruption. They love that. O'Keefe is a good example, taking all that money and, using it to fund his personal life, his personal Broadway ambitions. It's just who they are, unfortunately. Okay. That's all the time I have. I'll get to the Sanders story tomorrow. Apparently I went too long. I've been trying to tighten up these segments a little bit.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Apparently not working. Not working at all. Gonna have to keep, trying to be a little bit more timely on these segments. Nonetheless, that's all I have time for. We'll do that other story tomorrow. Like I said, I want to thank you all for joining me for going around the nation. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. Appreciate that. Let's see. Over here on Twitch, let's see. Let's do a raid. We'll do a watch list raid. Jared Jackson's new show. Good job over there. So we'll do that. As far as everybody else on, the different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, thank you again for watching. Please, again, before you go, like and share. Check out our videos on our YouTube page or our Facebook page. All that wonderful stuff for everyone else. Thank you all. Let me take this off the screen, by the way. But thank you all. I appreciate you. I love you all. You're very special. And we'll see you all tomorrow for a fantastic show. Thank you all. Oh, and remember, change begins with you.
Who's got a hammer?
Sexual anarchy.
Oh my God! He admitted!
I apologize for nothing. I concede nothing.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
USA, USA, USA.